All right, so let's dive into football Espanol. Um, you've probably heard of Jean Futol, the YouTuber. He's got some pretty strong opinions about the sport,
Oh
right?
yeah, he definitely doesn't hold back.
So we're gonna take a deep dive into some of the current debates and controversies, and we'll definitely be touching on some of his takes along the way. We've got a lot to unpack.
We do articles, videos, even some of your own notes, actually. So we'll be able to give like a pretty well-rounded look at what's going on, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, and hopefully, give our listeners, kind of a multifaceted understanding of these big topics and
Yeah,
what really matters, as a fan, as a football enthusiast.
definitely. Considering different perspectives, all that.
Exactly, exactly. So to kick things off, let's set the stage a bit. We've got some pretty interesting dynamics at play this season, especially between Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Always, right?
Always, yeah. Barcelona, they seem like the stronger team overall. They've been performing really well consistently. But Real Madrid, they're right there at the top of La Liga.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher.
It is, right.
Yeah.
Like, are they just lucky or are they actually the dominant force this season?
Right. And let's not forget Atletico Madrid, they're right there in the mix too. It's really a tight race between all three.
Absolutely. Any little thing could change the outcome.
For sure.
And speaking of things that could change the outcome, Jean Futol has been, pretty critical of Coach Ancelotti at Real Madrid.
Oh yeah, he has not been shy about that.
He thinks Ancelotti's not making the most of the team's potential. He's even gone as far as calling his coaching style cowardly, I believe.
Yeah, cowardly, I think that was the word. He really focuses on his tactics. He thinks Ancelotti relies too much on players like Vinicius Jr. and that there isn't really a clear game plan.
Interesting. So he basically thinks that's holding the team back.
Yeah, even though they're at the top of La Liga right now, he thinks they could be doing even better.
Hmm.
Of course, there are other analysts who completely disagree. They say Ancelotti's experience, his ability to manage those big personalities, that's crucial to Real Madrid's success.
Yeah, it's a real debate among the fans.
Big time.
Okay, well, since we're talking about Vinicius Jr., he's been in the spotlight quite a bit lately. Not just for, what he does on the field, but also for his contract negotiation.
Right, right.
What's the latest there?
Well, it's kind of a classic situation. You've got Real Madrid. They want to keep their star player, obviously, but they also want to keep his salary under control.
Makes sense.
But then you've got Vinicius and his team. They know they have leverage, so they're pushing for a better deal. And then, to make things even more complicated, there's the interest from the Saudi clubs.
Oh, right, right.
So with all of that going on, it seems like he's in no rush to sign anything with Real Madrid.
I can see why. And we should probably mention the criticisms of his playing style too, right?
Yeah, for sure. Some people say he over dribbles, that he focuses too much on individual plays rather than team strategy.
Interesting.
It's a classic debate, right? Individual flair versus tactical discipline. Some say he disrupts the flow of the team. Others say his brilliance is what makes him so dangerous.
So, he's a game changer, but maybe not always in a good way.
Exactly. It all depends on who you ask.
Okay, so now let's shift gears a bit. I want to talk about this Negreira case. It's a pretty big issue that's impacting, pretty much all of football Espanol.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just to kind of recap for anyone who might not know, this involves allegations that Barcelona made payments to a former refereeing official.
Right, which obviously raises some serious concerns about whether they were trying to influence refereeing decisions in their favor.
Exactly. And this whole situation, it's really isolated Real Madrid even further.
It has. A lot of other clubs seem to be turning against them, and, the media's having a field day, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
And I think a lot of fans are wondering, what does this mean for the future of La Liga? I mean, it's a potential crisis of confidence. People want transparency,
Yes.
They want to know that things are being handled fairly. So I think there are a lot of calls for more independent oversight, when it comes to financial dealings, referee appointments, all of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's got to be, squeaky clean.
Jean Futol, he's been very vocal about this whole thing, right?
Mhm.
Especially what he sees as a media bias against Real Madrid.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
He often points to criticism of outlets like Real Madrid television as proof of this bias.
So he thinks they're getting unfairly targeted.
Yeah, and he's not alone. There are others who feel the same way. They see this Negreira case as like a symptom of a deeper culture of corruption.
So, the media is part of the problem.
In their eyes, yeah. They think the media is pushing negative narratives against Real Madrid, and that just fuels the distrust and resentment.
Man, it's a lot. A lot of tension.
It is a lot to unpack.
And it really does feel like we're just scratching the surface when it comes to, needing more transparency and accountability in the sport.
Yeah, I agree. And while the Negreira case is huge, it's also kind of brought to light all these other debates about refereeing in general.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about some of these specific controversies that have been happening, the ones that are really getting fans and analysts fired up.
Yes. Like that Pizza Ton incident, the one with Real Madrid's Tchouaméni and Samuel Lino.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
And for our listeners who might not know, a Pizza Ton, it basically means like a stomp in Spanish.
Yeah, where a player steps on their opponent's foot. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. But either way, it can be really painful and definitely controversial.
Yeah. And in that incident with Tchouaméni and Lino, well, it looked like he might have stepped on his foot on purpose.
It did look that way to a lot of people.
And that's why people are bringing up other plays, particularly with Vinicius Jr., and how those were handled differently. Like, is there any consistency here?
Right, exactly. It's like, what's the standard? How are these decisions being made?
And, of course, we can't forget about VAR.
Oh, the elephant in the room.
It's supposed to help, right? Help the refs get the call right.
You'd think so, right?
But it seems like it just creates more controversy sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Some people say it disrupts the flow of the game, that it causes unnecessary delays.
And then you have the people who say it's absolutely crucial for fairness and accuracy.
Right. It's a tough one.
It is. But what's really interesting about that Pisiton incident is that it's become like this focal point
Oh, yeah.
for these broader discussions about, how do we interpret the rules? How much is refereeing just like subjective?
It's true.
It really highlights how challenging it is to use technology in a sport that relies so much on like real-time interpretation.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating debate.
Feels like every week there's some new call, some new controversy with the referees. Keeps things exciting, I guess.
Right. But, I mean, this isn't just a Real Madrid and Barcelona thing.
Yeah, true.
It's happening all over La Liga. So it makes you wonder about the consistency, the quality of the officiating in general.
Yeah, it does. And, I mean, are these controversial calls maybe impacting the title race in ways we don't even realize?
It's definitely possible.
But, okay, we've been focusing a lot on Real Madrid and Barcelona. But let's not forget, there's a whole world of football Espanol out there.
Absolutely.
What else is catching your eye?
Well, for one thing, football Espanol is making waves internationally. Like, did you hear about the Miami Dolphins playing a game in Madrid?
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
It just goes to show how global the appeal of La Liga is.
Right. And speaking of global attention, we can't ignore the Luis Rubiales case.
Definitely not.
His actions, the legal proceedings, it's been a huge story.
Yeah, it really brings up some questions about leadership, accountability, the culture within the Spanish Football Federation.
Yeah, it's a situation a lot of people are watching very closely.
For sure.
Now, you're obviously a huge La Liga fan.
Yeah.
But have you been following the women's game at all?
I have, yeah.
Because Mapi Leon leaving Football Espanol was a pretty big deal.
It was. It's interesting, right? Because it kind of shows how things are changing in the women's game.
How so?
Well, players are speaking out more, They're demanding more. They want better opportunities, the recognition they deserve.
Yeah.
It feels like a real turning point, not just in Spain, but globally.
It does. Okay, so we've got the Rubiales situation, Mapi Leon leaving. There's also a lot of speculation about what's going to happen with some other key figures in Football Espanol.
Oh, totally.
Like what's going to happen with João Felix's career. Some say he hasn't quite lived up to his potential.
Right.
Others think he just needs the right environment to really shine.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
And then you have Xabi Alonso. I mean, he's been killing it as a coach.
He has.
So naturally, there are rumors about him moving to a bigger club.
There always are, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's an exciting time to be following Football Espanol for sure.
It is. So many different stories unfolding. So much at stake.
Like a big chess match.
Totally. Okay, so speaking of chess matches, let's talk tactics for a minute. What about the different styles we're seeing from Real Madrid and Barcelona this season?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Break it down for me.
Well, Real Madrid, they're known for their individual brilliance
Right.
and their ability to counterattack so quickly.
And they're just waiting for the opponent to make a mistake and then boom.
Exactly. And they have players like Vinicius Jr. who can just create something out of nothing. And then, of course, you've got Benzema who can finish anything.
Yeah. It's a high risk, high reward approach, but it's definitely brought them success.
Definitely.
Now, how does that compare to what Barcelona's doing? They're playing differently under Xavi. Right.
Yeah, they are. They've gone more towards a possession-based style. It's all about building up play patiently, intricate passing, controlling the tempo.
So less about individual moments and more about just kind of suffocating the opponent.
Exactly. It's like a slow, methodical dismantling of their defense.
That sounds pretty effective.
It can be, but of course it has its weaknesses too.
Like what?
Well, if they lose the ball in a dangerous area, they can be vulnerable to those quick counterattacks, the kind that Real Madrid is so good at.
So each team's strength could also be their weakness.
Exactly. And, we can't forget Atletico Madrid either.
True. They're always in the mix.
They may not have the star power of Real Madrid or the tactical complexity of Barcelona, but they're so resilient, they're organized defensively, and they know how to grind out results.
Yeah, that's their thing. Never count them out. I was thinking about Futol's criticism of Ancelotti.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it, the tactical stuff. But, Real Madrid's still winning.
They are.
So maybe his experience is actually a good thing. Like
Yeah.
a stabilizing force for a team with so many big personalities.
It's a good point. He's definitely seen it all, right? He knows how to handle the pressure. And maybe that's what Real Madrid needs, someone who can keep those players focused on the goal.
Maybe. It really does feel like this La Liga title race is going to come down to the wire.
It does.
It's so unpredictable.
And as we've been talking about, it's not just about who wins the trophy at the end.
Right.
It's about everything that happens along the way, the controversies, the rivalries, the characters.
It's the whole, the soul of football Espanol.
Exactly.
And it just keeps people coming back for more.
Okay, I'm ready for the next chapter. What else have you got for me? Man, we've covered a lot. From bad calls by the refs to football Espanol's reach around the world. It's like there's so much more to it than what happens on the field.
Totally. It's part of the culture here,
Yeah.
like national pride. It brings people together. It's a story that's been going on for, I don't know, like forever, right?
Yeah, passed down through families,
Yeah.
generations.
And even with all the rivalry and stuff, the disagreements, you can still feel that sense of community, the love for the game.
That's what makes it so special. Yeah, it's not perfect. Things aren't always fair, but it's always intense, always exciting, always something unexpected happening.
So what about the future? Things are changing, right? New players, new tactics, new challenges.
Always, yeah. But some things stay the same. The fans are always passionate, the players are dedicated, and, well, football Espanol has such a rich history. It's a story that's going to keep being told.
It's true. And I think it's important to remember that, we all play a part in keeping the game, keeping it good.
Absolutely.
Remembering fair play, sportsmanship, respect for the game, all that.
Right. And we can't forget about the challenges, right? Like corruption, the influence of money, the pressure to win no matter what.
Yeah.
It's tough. It takes all of us being careful and committed to doing what's right for the game.
Well, this has been, I don't know, it's been awesome. Exploring football Espanol, digging into all the details.
It has been fun.
I feel like we could keep going for hours.
Oh, easily.
But, we should probably wrap things up. And as we do, I think it's fitting to, remember what Jean Futol always says at the end of his videos.
Yeah, he's got that signature line.
So, in the spirit of Jean Futol, hello, if you are listening to this, you may not be subscribed to the channel. Activate the bell so that they will notify you when there is a new story, and share it with the people you want. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
Adios.